Welcome everyone to the StorageCraft quarterly partner broadcast. We're so happy that you're joining us. Appreciate you taking the time out. We've got a lot of great stuff to show you. So let's get into it, shall we? My name is Janine Edwards. I'm the Senior Director of Channel Marketing. My job at StorageCraft is to make sure everything we do represents the channel and all of your best interests. And then we're joined by Junior Silva, who's one of our product managers. I love it when we have product managers on the phone. He's going to take us through an exciting new innovation here at StorageCraft. Junior, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate you hanging out with us today.
Glad to be here.
So this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to spend our time together. We're first going to talk about the importance of standardization and what ShadowXafe is, what StorageCraft is bringing to the table with ShadowXafe to empower standardization. We're also going to have Junior spend some time going over the game-changing functionality that ShadowXafe brings to the table. And we're going to share some interesting comparables to how we stack up against the competition. We think you're going to be really impressed. We're going to obviously take you through how you get your hands on ShadowXafe and where. And then we're going to talk about how we continue the conversation moving forward. So first and foremost, let's reintroduce you to StorageCraft. For those of you who have been working with us for a long time, you know exactly who you are. We might have some folks on the phone who haven't yet made the choice to lead with StorageCraft. We are a company that was founded in 2003, really first out of the gate, right, with the innovation around data protection. We're headquartered in Draper, Utah. We have offices in Sunnyvale and Silicon Valley and all over the globe. And about 12 to 18 months ago, we had a significant investment in technology that allowed us to really go deep in innovation, and we're focused on rapid growth and expansion. Right now, we have 1 million+ servers and VMs protected with hundreds of terabytes under management. So what's most important, what I'm most excited about, obviously, is that we are a channel-first company first and foremost. It's in our DNA, top down from our CEO all the way down through the organization. And we want to empower partners to take full advantage of the exploding data management and protection market opportunities to allow you to grow the addressable market, swim upstream, and drive customer acquisition. We are one source of storage and business continuity solutions. We're going to talk a little bit about how we've been really focused on bringing a true platform of business continuity solutions for all of your customers and their needs. And most importantly, we are 100% dedicated to partner success and business growth. And we're going to show you how we're illustrating that through our innovation. So let's talk a little bit about the challenges facing the business world today, right? So because at the end of the day, a challenge that they face definitely means an opportunity for you, right? To bring them a solution that solves that challenge. And in an effort to innovate and bring you solutions that do that, we've identified sort of 3 big ones we think we need to keep our eye on. And the important thing to remember is that these challenges that your customers are facing are impacting businesses of all sizes. And these technology challenges that were previously reserved for the enterprise have really made their way down to the SMB and the mid-market, right? So that brings opportunity for you, the outsourced solution provider. And while there are a couple of obvious ones that you're going to be nodding your head at, the first one I want to touch on is more of what I call a Trojan horse, right? Because we think it's super important to prepare your customers and arm them with a solution to take this challenge on. And this is the data growth challenge, right? So you probably know that there's 2 types of data that your customers are dealing with, structured and unstructured. And the real impetus of this challenge, this data management challenge, is the amount of unstructured data being generated, right? And it's driven by what seems to be, to your customers, the basic needs of their business, right? High resolution images, videos, design files, etc. They're going to be spending an inordinate amount of time in the very short term trying to understand the nature of this data. What needs to be held on to? What should be archived, what should be deleted. And in 2017, IDC predicted that we were going to be reaching capacities, right, when it comes to unstructured data. And that's just going to continue and continue and continue exponentially. And what this is going to do is going to result in a super unpredictability in your customers' environments. So forward-thinking solution providers are going to definitely need to keep an eye on this trend, because we guarantee it's going to be something your smaller customers, particularly those in verticals like healthcare, finance, are going to need to be prepared for. Challenge number 2 is the evergreen nature of data protection, right? It's an evergreen story of backup and recovery, but now we're going to add the layer, right, that comes with the data growth tidal wave. And as you know better than most, protection is based on two main components, backup and recovery. And when we take on the data growth piece, right, we layer that on, the data set sizes are becoming larger. Recovery now becomes more of a challenge. And we're not just talking about maybe recovering gigabytes or terabytes, but in some cases, depending on your customer environments, petabytes. And as that data pool gets larger, we want to make sure that we're mitigating the risk around things like recovery time, backup windows, right? We don't want those to get longer. We want to make sure our RTOs are in check. And we're not growing in time and expense should there be an incident, right? So downtime, again, is an evergreen risk and reality. You have human error, you have natural disasters, right, et cetera. And if you take a look at this report here, this is a study from Aberdeen that an organization deals with 3 to 4 downtime events a year. So how do you make sure that you mitigate the risk of longer periods of downtime and recovery as the data explosion continues? We want to continue to drive confidence that you've made the right choice in your data solution, in your data protection solution, and in your managed offering, right? So in a few minutes, we're going to share how our commitment to innovation is going to allow you to really level up that confidence even more and be prepared with unparalleled time to deployment recovery should your customers ever experience any outage, right? We want to make sure we ensure the risk of the expense of downtime is as low as possible if that occurs. Challenge number 3, the data security challenge. This comes up as the #1 sort of known entity all the time when I poll partner audiences, when I ask them what they're looking at as it relates to customer challenges, security. Over the last 2 years, check out this stat, damages caused by ransomware have doubled to $11.5 billion. So the entities that are developing this nefarious nefarious software are getting more sophisticated. And this other scary notion to think about when you think about that is that 77% of organizations who have experienced some sort of cyber attack had the most recent updates on their protection software. And even when they did, they were compromised. So it's not just about preventing an attack. It's about what do I do for my customers when it comes to remediation and restoration and getting them back to a healthy state, back to the point of business as usual before the attack. So we know more than ever, guys, that we must protect our customers from ransomware, and we must be ready to bring them back to business as usual with as little downtime, as little disruption to the organization as possible. If we're not speaking to our customers about this trend, particularly with our SMB customers, we need to be, because in an event like this, without the proper protection and without the proper recovery plan, it could be catastrophic to their business, right? So when we want to prepare you as an organization, as a technology partner, to bring solutions to your customers that solve these business challenges, right? We think these 3 are worth keeping an eye on, and we wanted to make sure that the innovation that we've been working on for the past 12 to 18 months allows you to bring solutions that solve these challenges. We now have a true business continuity platform, and it's a set of solutions that we're super proud of that spans the entire business continuity category. And we believe our job is to arm you and bring you the best technology to your customer, right? But also to bring solutions that allow you to open up your addressable market, swim upstream, and really create opportunity. And we've been teasing ShadowXafe for a few months, right? We've been giving you a sneak peeks. We've been talking about it, but ShadowXafe V2, guys, is here. It is here, it is available, and it is a game changer. And when we think about why it's a game changer, right? The folks on the phone, you're probably super familiar with the idea of technology standardization and just how important that is to your business. And as you become more mature operationally, standardization becomes high on that short list of levers to increase operational maturity, particularly where? In your service desk, right? So we're talking about things like service ticket cycling and escalation reduces when you're able to standardize. You have less reactive noise. You're able to optimize automation, right? You're able to create institutionalized knowledge with knowledge bases, right? What that equates to at the end of the day, if you really embrace standardization, as you well know, is the ability to maximize profitability with things like lower operating costs and labor costs. You're able to take engineers on, onboard them faster, right? Train them faster. You see higher productivity with your service desk, right? And you're able to scale quickly as you address customer acquisition and that increases. So Standardization is a super, super important part of the service desk profitability puzzle. And here's the rub. Standardization can sometimes be a challenge, right? Particularly in our category, right? So if you check out these stats, we think about things like varying customer requirements, right? Or environmental complexity changes and is different with my different customers. 80% of managed service providers believe that their organization is at risk of losing out on opportunities should they miss getting their service portfolio right or on delivering on new services faster. So sometimes the standardization game is tough to settle on, right? Here's another interesting statistic that I think is amazing because we all know that standardization is so important. 3 out of 4 managed service providers support 2 or more backup and disaster recovery solution vendors within their managed offering, right? So they tend to lead with one, but based on the short list up here, right, customer requirements, environmental complexity, they're bringing more than one into the fold, which makes standardization a challenge. Well, guess what? ShadowXafe is a game changer because it is the only data protection solution that will fully empower standardization in this category. So you now have the confidence to not just lead with StorageCraft, but to bring it to every customer, regardless of size, regardless of complexity, whether they need physical, virtual, machines protected, whether you're in need of an agentless or an agent-based, and the speed of deployment and recovery is by orders of magnitude much faster than any other solution. The feature set, particularly the SLA orchestration, is differentiated, and the pricing is SMB ready. So let's jump in. Without further ado, set the stage. Junior, take it away. Go for it.
Thank you, Janine. We're excited from the product management standpoint. We've been gathering feedback from our partners, from you guys, for a long time. And you know, traditionally with StorageCraft, we grew organically. We created a snapshot driver that was, you know, innovating in the data protection industry. It was OEM to various companies, including VMware and all sorts of agreements that we're able to do. The one thing that when that snapshot driver, when it started growing, you know, we created a product around it, was Shadow Protect, and then we needed to, you know, from the feedback was like, hey, we need to be able to replicate this. We need to be able to verify that these backups are good. And so we layered another piece on it. So we created another product called Image Manager. You guys are all familiar with that. And when it was, hey, I need to be able to manage, you know, hundreds of these deployments. And so we created another solution for that with Shadow Control. So when it came time to look at this data protection platform, we were looking through, we're like, okay, is there a way that we can put all these things together, just the functionality and features, not necessarily just slam these products together and call it a new platform. And when we did the analysis, it came very clear that we needed to start from the ground up. And instead of growing from the top down, what is it that the customer, what is it that the partner wants to do with this platform? It's like, well, they want to protect in the simplest way. They want to be able to scale. We had a lot of times when numbers would start growing north of 3,000 endpoints, it just starts getting a little cumbersome. The management tasks that you'd have to do every day starts getting a little cumbersome. And so our idea with ShadowXafe, we wanted to create a platform that you would be able to integrate, simplified, and have on-prem and cloud protection all integrated, that you would be able to protect agent and physical machines and virtual machine protection, that you'd be able to do host-based backup with that protection, that you do auto discovery, that you do auto policy assignments, things that help you operate on a day-to-day basis. And something that was simplified across the board is one product, one deployment, and then you're able to take advantage of the feature set in that. So that's what ShadowXafe is. You'll see the SLA-based protection that we're talking about. You're able to easily discover all the machines. And then what you're going to see with the data protection as we move forward in the roadmaps, you're going to see these different products, point products, just integrating and merging into this platform. And we're really excited about. We released it back in August of last year. We had the end user, and it was VMware focused. And then we wanted to bring into, through beta testing and through interviews again, and saying, okay, what are we missing now, and be able to get the feedback from you guys for this version 2 that we just released, and you guys be able to give us the feedback and say, hey, this is what I love about it, this is what I want. So with that, let me go through one of the things oh yeah.
I'm not making you. Am I making you presenter now, or are you still? Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Junior. Go. I know. I lost my footing. I'm back. Junior.
No, we're excited. So one of the things that we did to give you an idea, as we look through those feature set, one of the things we've always been able to do our virtual boot technology, and we wanted to leverage that in a more significant way. So with the VMware one, for example, with our patented technology for VMware, we're able to instantly turn on the machines on-prem, back in primary storage instantly without turning on in just a few milliseconds. So to give you an idea, it's about a 500 gig VM, takes about 16 milliseconds to instantiate. So it takes longer for the VMware APIs to return to us and to power on the machine than it does for us to actually start that restore. So we wanted to bring more smarts around it, and more differentiation around that. You used to be able to do this just from an SMB. Now you're able to do from NFS, SMB, iSCSI. From our cloud, you can instantiate and virtualize machines directly from our cloud on-prem. It's just a really cool way to do that, and you're able to do that in VMware and Hyper-V. So without further ado, let's take it for a spin.
Okay, friend, I just made you the presenter, so you should be able to share your screen. There you go, Beautimus.
All right. This is ShadowXafe. As far as it's a web-based console, so modern UI and console. When we started this process, we wanted to do something that was highly scalable. So we built it. It's on a microservices architecture, and what that means is that we're able to expand very rapidly and use our data protection in a bunch of different environments and different hardware, different things that you guys would need. To give an example of those microservices, we're able to put in our OneSafe, we put our data protection services all inside of a Docker container. We put these ones right here, all these services are inside of a VM. So we can just turn on and off the light switches. They're all the same service, and it makes it so it's highly scalable. So you can deploy this VM in a VMware environment, you can deploy in Hyper-V, and you can manage everything from a single pane of glass. So let me log in here. And of course, wrong appliance. Okay, so apologize that, guys. So here's the with our appliance data protection. All of those microservices are built in. We have the system health. Those microservices reach in. When we're talking about what do we want on a dashboard, people were talking about, let's do. We want to know, give us a big green check mark. Make sure, are things good in communicating? Now, if the answer is yes, okay, what's the next thing that we need to be able to view? So unprotected machines, that was a widget that was created for, as we discover VMs, as environments change, as new machines get deployed, what are the things that should be protecting that are not getting protected right now? So being able to see, are there any blind spots in my data protection? So many times we've been able to, catch something, someone forgot to add a policy, or someone forgot to, a technician forgot to do something, and you end up in a position where you don't have backups, right? And then the things that I do care about that I am protecting, what's their status? So that was, we made it so that, you'll be able to log in and see green across the top and log out, right? So you can know where you need to take action, to figure out these unprotected machines. The second part of kind of the design when we were going through is like, what about some resource utilization? Be able to see, what's the total storage, how much you're protecting, what's the change rate across these storages, and be able to see a real-time throughput of what's going on right now with backup and replication. You'll notice also that in a single pane of glass, we added also the storage management of OneSafe. So this widget appears over here when you're managing OneSafe, or it goes off the screen when it's not there. You also have the ability to, we wanted to create not only just a really nice dashboard, but something where you had, that you're able to have a dynamic, right? So you're able to search and figure out, certain sites and be able to see all of the information in this screen according to those sites. So that was something that we wanted to bring. The other thing that, we call it Batman mode, or a couple of different modes, but we know that disaster never happens during the day. And so for nighttime use, we wanted to create a little, a dark theme, a dark mode. Also have the ability to put it on a knock screen, to make it nice for you guys, to be able to see it on a screen, a full screen. So all of these things are options that we can do. So about the deployment, you'll notice it's really simple. You just deploy a VM, an appliance, directly into vCenter or Hyper-V. That's something that's changed. If you remember the Shadow Control appliance, that was you had to create a VM and then you attach an ISO, run through an install process, right? Well, this you're able to just push a VM inside of Hyper-V or VMware, and you're able to grab and turn it on and start using it. So we wanted to remove all of the install process, a bunch of the, I hope that you guys will be able to feel the difference of, even installing an agent, right? Installing agents on a bunch of machines. You'll always have the initial reboot because of the kernel level driver that we're loading. But after that, if you're going to update that agent, if we're not changing the kernel driver, then there's no need to reboot. So a lot of feedback from you guys. So, every time we needed to reboot or there was an update, you needed to reboot the machine. So we wanted to cut down on downtime, cut down on how long it takes you to deploy, and to get up and running with the solution. So
hey, Junior, got a super cool question coming at you. Is there a way to exclude machines from the unprotected widgets?
Yes, there is a way to do that. Let's go do that right now. I'll turn it back to light so it's easier to see. So if I go, certain machine, I can select an unprotected machine, in that case a physical, or I could just select one of these machines and just ignore. So on this one I can remove, this is an agent machine, so I can remove an agent machine, or I can ignore a certain machine like in VMware. So if I had over here like this 2008 R2 server, and I can just ignore machine. So this removes it from my list. I can still access it and I can still bring it back. but we should be able to see the virtual machine counts, and those counts all change. You can also, on the configuration, you're able to, like an example, right here I see that there's 2 machines that are ignored in this environment. So I'm able to go and bring those back if I wanted to. And then I'm also able to ignore a host or a cluster in a VMware environment. So if you have a test host or a test cluster, you're also able to ignore those environments. Great question.
Okay, so yeah, guys, I should have said this in the beginning. If you're having questions and you want to get engaged in the conversation, put them in the Q&A. I'm taking a look at them. If for some reason you think I'm ignoring you, it's because I know we're going to answer it shortly. So just pop them in there. If we don't get to all of them, we will definitely reply offline. And yes, a lot of questions on this one. It is being recorded, and it will live in Partner Zone afterwards, and we'll let everybody know where they can find that link. So just wanted to get that out there. Really quick question that I wanted to ask that might be a good share with everyone is, what is one system?
Yeah, so one system is what we're calling this management experience. This is what you deploy, in your back office. So it's a new management, and it's a different take on the management and simplicity, right? And so just like Shadow Control you deploy in your back office, you can deploy a one system instance in your back office and then manage everything by hitting that IP address. Also, what you're going to see this year is we're gonna launch a publicly hosted version of this management that you'll be able to just manage it. If you don't want to manage your own appliance, for one system, you just manage just we'll take care of that, and you just manage it through our portal, our public portal.
Yeah, and then another question that's coming up about integrations. Yes, we actually have with ShadowXafe V2 a brand new update to the integration to ConnectWise Manage, and that includes service ticket integration, which is exciting. In addition to the billing that you have in the existing integration with Shadow Protect. Automate is very much in the near term. The plugin did come out recently for Shadow Protect, so keep your eye on that, and we'll bring all that super cool features and functionality to Automate plugin as well.
Yeah, and on touch base on that, the first thing that we wanted to do was provide a way to do a two-way ticket integration. A lot of feedback has been, look, if there's a backup that's failed, but now it's fixed, it was just something transient. Can you automatically update that ticket so it doesn't reflect, so I don't have to go after the fact and start closing all these things, and I get to it just to figure out that it was already taken care of. Or same thing with replication. So both backup and replication will do an auto close of those tickets as soon as those things are resolved on those machines. Great question.
Another question is Kaseya's on the roadmap too. We have Kaseya integrations on the roadmap. We can find it. I know it's on the roadmap, so we'll get you an answer on the short term, maybe Junior knows.
We wanted to bring the first integration. We wanted to bring a ConnectWise and manage, and then there'll be more integrations. You can see over here. This is where all the integrations are going to go. So any integrations will be populating over here in this place.
Great.
All right. Great questions. So as far as the, as you can see, we wanted also one place where you configure things. So part of the UX and the design, we went through a lot of iterations to figure out, how is it that once you know how to configure something, you can always go back to that same place and configure. So once you've added an environment like a VMware, or you added agents in certain sites to be protected, you're able to come back and be able to find that environment, right? And so you can always keep adding. Also, there's an unreleased feature preview. You can deploy this in a standalone ESXi. And so you're going to see in the deploy tool that we use, it says add vCenter, but you can put the IP. We're going through the final testing of that, and so that we'll announce shortly that. But yeah, you can deploy standalone ESXi, you can deploy in a Hyper-V, you can deploy in vCenter and be able to do that. And then any agents that you deploy, they automatically show up in here. So you deploy an agent and it shows up into the management experience. Second thing is, you wanted to add a storage. So it's just 4 simple steps. When you first log in, there's a little icon over here that walks you through the 4 steps. But again, adding storage, you can add NFS, iSCSI, SMB, or StorageCraft cloud as a target. And once that gets added, so that's a new thing from SPX. You didn't have NFS, so there's NFS support for that now. Once you're added, encryption, AES 256-bit encryption, encrypts the whole data store, encrypts each machine with different keys, all sorts of things that it's like, hey, we'll manage this, this key manager and this encryption manager over here. You're also able to edit and change that, to give you an example, without having to re-encrypt or restart backups on all your machines. So that was something that you guys have also requested for a long time. They're like, hey, I just, I had a tech that left. Can I just change this? I want to re-encrypt my backups, but I don't want to start all new chains on, with the new password. So that's totally possible now. So one of the things you'll see is we changed the format underneath. So SPX and SPIs, they're no longer the main format. The reason why we split off the metadata and the image data. So a lot of modern architectures actually doing this, like AWS, like storage service, storage gateway does this as well. You have the metadata that you can search through, that you can do all those things very fast. You don't have to open all those files to be able to figure out what's going on. So like, if a chain was unmanaged and there was over about 1,000 files, depending on the system, then you weren't able to restore, you weren't able to do anything with that, right? And so that's no longer the case. We have the storage service is managing all of those things, so you don't have to. We don't want people having to mess with chains and things like that anymore. So everything is driven through the UI, and we'll take care of that. So
Junior, while you're going through this, lots of questions coming in very similar to this as it relates to either a replacement, an upgrade to Shadow Protect, right? So, and some migration questions. Maybe you could kind of generally talk about that as you're going through the demo, what it means for Shadow Protect as a replacement.
For sure. So this is a new management experience. So, there is no migration from the backups SPX, over to this platform. And what that means is, it's kind of funny because we interviewed a lot of people about this. They're like, there's 2 things that they wanted to migrate. They wanted to migrate the configurations, and they wanted to migrate chains, right? They're like, well, I don't want to start new chains. Well, it was funny that as we interviewed people, and we actually got to the use case, we're like, okay, we can migrate the chain over. And then the answer was, well, I want to keep the old ones just in case. And so they ended up having 2 chains anyways. And so it was kind of like, well, it's going to be the same thing. The cutover would be, just start protecting. You can also do whole space protection, even, if you're protecting something with an agent. And then start, you can just, whenever you feel ready, you can just cut that off. So that was one of the things. And configuration-wise, so let's get to that, and I can show you guys how simple it is. It's just different because configurations, it's sitting in a bunch of different places with SPX, with Image Manager. I mean, there's things in registries, there's things in database, there's things in files. And it's so simple to configure policies and to do these things that we can kind of show you that. So here's an example of the, a policy. We wanted to make it, again, so super, fast, very reactive, that you can search a policy, you can search based on sites, anything that, that you want to know, you have readily available. And then give you the ability to, if I was to add a new policy over here, this is kind of the screen that people, they start understanding kind of the power of what we've done. This is, and if you think of, this is, you select an RPO, you select when you want to take snapshots, you select a storage, you can search again by sites and find out, just the storage associated to it. The retention, how many, number of daily recovery points you want to keep. So 14 days worth, number of weekly recovery points, 6 or 6 weeks, number of monthly recovery points, 12 or 12 months. All the ability to replicate to any target as well, and selecting either sync or replicating once, so replicating daily. This is kind of the, if you're familiar with Image Manager, you know that these, to be able to set a replication target and set it to sync, it's behind a lot of clicks, a lot of different screens and tabs to get that option. So this is, if you think of kind of like SPX, Image Manager, and Shadow Control all into a single place. Also, a lot of the, it's like, hey, can you create something that I could just clone real fast and duplicate this to another site, right? And so any of the policies, you can click duplicate and clone, and then be able to select a different storage, for example. The things that are unique in a site are obviously storage and replication, or if you're replicating always to a certain place, it would show up here. You just drop down, select the Dunder Mifflin power plant and hit save. I mean, this is how, 2 clicks and you're able to clone a policy for this site. That's kind of the power that
it was a paper manufacturer, by the way. Dunder Mifflin was a paper manufacturer.
Yes.
I do have an intense question for you if you're ready for one. Are you ready?
Okay. Yes. Go for it.
What about the migration path to one system? People who have an infrastructure of dedicated hardware running SPX and Image Manager, can we continue to use our own hardware, or is this turning into a data-like solution? Yes, you can continue. I think I know the answer to that, but go ahead, Junior. Yes, you can still use your own hardware, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Look,
I can answer one.
You did it, Janine.
I did it. Okay, go.
No, and we're excited on the, just trying to bring, again, simplicity. We probably went through 44 different iterations of that screen alone that you saw, of how would somebody set up a policy, how much, even things like this where you can see the full data protection life cycle just in a single screen. One of my kind of pet peeves is you have to go into a policy or setting to be able to figure out what it's actually doing. I wanted to just from a quick glance be able to see the retention, destination where it's going, RPO, and just be able to make my decision. So clone. So if you want to make it, for this site, for the Acme site, if I want to make this my default policy, I can set right here, just hit that little star. All of a sudden, any new machines coming in, then it would go in. I appreciate one of the questions. Thanks for correcting him, Team Dunder Mifflin. Appreciate that.
Very important to know our pop culture references, guys. Come on.
That's true. Apologize for that. So here's in the Acme, so now it's a default policy. So anything coming in, it would automatically, whether agents or agentless protection, would automatically come in here for this protection. So
you ready for another question real quick before you move on? One more, and then we'll keep getting you through. Are the sites, in quotes, local sites only, or can you do multiple external sites for MSPs that have many companies, or do you have to deploy one system on each client's location? I know the answer to that.
You do. Nice. Okay. So also, is its own VM as well to better understand? Yes, it's its own VM. You deploy, if you're in VMware, it deploys an OVF, so it just imports that VM into your vCenter environment and turns it on, and the services start up, and you're able to hit that IP address. If it's on a Hyper-V environment, you install an agent, and one of the options of the agent is, do you want to deploy a one system, or do you want to deploy service nodes? And so the agent itself is, if you say, one system, it's going to download a VHDX, and it's going to create a VM inside of your Hyper-V environment. So that's how the deployment method. You can run the UI for the agent, but we wanted to make it so that you can do just totally, script or, via RMM tools. So you don't have to do, you don't have to go through the UI. So you can deploy sites remotely. You can just pass in the flags so everything that the UI can do, it can be done via flags and a little more, so that you're able to do this remotely. So the whole idea is, making a management experience that you can manage thousands of endpoints, that you can scale to thousands and not be bogged down. Great question. Another question, Janine?
Well, I think I would love for you to I was trying to integrate them as you went through the demo. We have a lot of great questions. I'm kind of trying to intersperse them, but would love for you, let's finish up here, and then we'll try to take questions as we move forward.
Okay, and let us know. We'll go through and answer these after the webinar as well. So
yeah. Any questions that aren't answered live, don't worry. We'll send you a note. We'll have someone reach out and get you the answer you're looking for. We also have a way at the end, so hang out for you to tell us that you would like to see this in a deeper dive. So make sure you let us know that as we wrap up.
Yeah, so on this case right here, you can see that these are, as far as what you would deploy, you deploy your initial management with the one system. And then for that site, there's always a service leader. And this is a service leader. It's a service node, but it becomes a leader when it's the first one in the site. And so as it deploys first one in the site, it just becomes one of those. And from there, you install any agents or anything. All the communication kind of goes through that site leader. And a big difference, something that we worked really hard on this is to make it so you can manage, simplified management of remote sites, remote offices. So we have native tunneling between our microservices from another site. So you can, as you deploy an agent, you tell it where your one system is. So you would put an external IP, and you would only go to that one router and fix that and route from the external to your internal one system. Other than that, there's no configurations that you need to do on the client, so you don't need to open ports because we're initiating a connection from that microservice to the one system microservice. You don't need to do any configuration, and so it establishes a little tunnel, and it's able to talk and send messages. Also, the data model in the security side, all of the information for that site, it remains passwords, things, everything remains local to that service leader. So nothing is stored on the one system. The reason a lot of that, drives, you're going to see later in the year, you're going to see our hosted one system. Well, obviously, StorageCraft doesn't want to hold, accountable and have everybody's passwords and things like that. So everything is managed and it sits within the security zone of that site. Any new backups or anything, it goes automatically to that site. And what's cool about it is that you have complete access to perform any functions right here from from here, if you're doing backup now or if you're doing restore or whatever the case. So you'll see the version and everything. So we just released this version. The fourth step, so I'm glad there's a lot of questions over here. We'll try to answer all of these.
I got you, Junior. Don't you worry. I got you.
Okay, thank you, Jenny. Thanks for the help. So a lot of what you're going to see is so you perform the steps, right? You already added the environment. You added a storage for that site, and you created a policy. So this is the 4th step, and again, this is all, it has a little menu right here where it tells you to a step by step, but at this point you're able to assign policies. So I can select a machine, I can select all machines, and then assign. You'll see again the same information right here. We can search, we can do all of those things right here in the policy screen, and be able to to hit save, and now it applies that policy. If it's we wanted to make a lot of management experiences where you see right there the desktop just went to the high priority. If it's on the high priority, it's a different RPO. It automatically does what from that point forward what you wanted it to do. So that's been pretty fun. Also on the searching functionality, everything over here is live and you can search for. So if you're searching for, I can search for clusters. So I can see over here in the VMware location, cluster 2 is an option. I can just keep searching through and narrowing that down of what that's gonna be. And of course they have sent somewhere else. And so let's see, I think they're all VMO1s, right? Yeah. So, but you get kind of the idea where you could just narrow it down exactly what you want. It also saves it, so you can click back on any of these and bring it back and mix and match. One of the things that as well we're doing this is, usually when you're searching for things, it's always kind of, you're doing the same kind of queries, just a little bit different. So you want to be able to bring back a certain query. You can quickly find that out. Again, select all, assign, go. So 3 clicks and you're able to protect that.
Lots of questions on the API, Junior, while you're going through the search. Lots of questions about an API,
Yes.
API access, right?
Yeah, so everything is through GraphQL. That's what we're using for the API. So a lot more performant and robust than the rest, but there's not yet a documented API for this. We consume all of our APIs, so there's not a formally versioned API set. It's going to come out shortly. We have a documentation around the more SDK technical documentation, but not yet a version. So, but that's coming soon.
And I see you question on BrightGauge. We get a question a lot, especially in the Evolve community. I have brought it to our product manager on integrations, and we are pushing and pushing and pushing. We know that's an important one. So I am fighting that fight. I want to let you know that.
So let me be clear. So it's open right now. The APIs are out there. You can you can do those things. You can use them. It's the part where it comes in. It's the people want documentation, right? Technical documentation on how to use them and what's the responses and things like that. And then versioning, right? That we're supporting this API. We kind of hardened that API set, and so you're not breaking people's integrations. So those are the 2 things that. So we'll keep at it. We expect, towards later part of the year to kind of have something formal.
Okay, so we got about 10 minutes left, Junior. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. So if you have a couple more high-level things you'd like to show, or can we tell these guys where they can buy it, how they can buy it, how they can see more of it?
Yeah, absolutely. So just as on a recovery side, we wanted to just show you guys that, the ability to be able to, figure out I get like a VM over here. The 3 steps: select the machine, the recovery point, the target. We wanted to make everything 3 clicks and you're done. We want to make it so that you can standardize and go in for, whether agentless or agent-based protection. We think there's value in both. That it is much easier. I can discover an environment through agentless, and I can quickly assign protection. Always want to bring it back to the consistency. We've added a lot of things like in-flight data verification, things where it's even a step deeper than Image Manager, right? That you can verify in flight. So if you're replicating either the backup service or the replication service, all of those microservices, when they're talking to each other, it's all PKI encrypted. There's no communication that ever goes raw. So TLS, everything that it's communicating, it's over replications over HTTP2. So really fast and really fun to be able to do. So that's kind of the selecting things. Optimal recovery, you select if you leave optimal, we find the fastest place. Everything is DRS aware, so you can select a vCenter, select the host. It's only showing the data stores of the host, just to make sure that you're not missing or making any recovery or anything that shouldn't be available, right? So you don't have a mismatch and things like that. So let's go over here, webinar. Okay, and then let me alt-tab over to get a full screen, make sure I'm in vSphere, refresh, make sure we're still logged in. So what you should be able to see over here is the kind of our virtual boot technology. As soon as we hit next, recover. What you're going to see, this where the part I was talking about, where it takes longer for the VMware APIs to create the machine and power it on than it does for us to actually restore. And so if we go here, so this is the kind of speed that we're talking about on recovery, and what you're going to see with our virtual boot technology. It's we do an intelligent pattern read ahead, so we've improved virtual boot even more. As the OS is coming up, we bring those part of the disks, and then we bring it where we are auto backfilling, and then we have that logistic that we're going across the disk and bringing those areas, those are apps, and then bringing in the cold data after the fact. This is kind of what Janine talked about, like some of the, as more and more unstructured data, things, your RPOs start slipping, your RTOs, we wanted to invalidate that. And so there is no RTO. It's just instant turn on and get it there. So that's kind of the.
We're bringing sexy back. We're bringing sexy back, Junior. That's what we're doing.
That's what we're doing. Analytics, reporting, tons of improvements on reporting, protection analytics, reports, where we're showing the performance of your backup, success rates, failures. You can define what success rates is. You can select per site, all of these things, capacity planning. You can view your storage locations and click into and see the trend when you're going to run out of space in the storage, or when you're going to hit a threshold. So all of this is a new functionality we want to bring to you guys. SLA compliance. If you have a backup, you're supposed to have an SLA every 4 hours. And so yeah, this is there's a lot of fun things over here. Just want to kind of give you guys it's as much as possible. I know we're short on time, but reach out to your channel representative, schedule a demo and get a little bit deeper into this. We'll try to answer all the questions over here.
We're going to give you an easy way to tell us. Yeah, we're going to give you an easy way to tell us that you'd like to see more, have questions answered. So just hang out for a couple more minutes. Let me just share my screen back here.
Yep.
Give me 2 seconds. I'm a terrible multitasker.
No problem. And Acme is having problems over here. Training, pricing, and all of that. Lots of questions.
You guys see the right screen? Are we looking at the right screen here?
Yep.
Hold on. Great. All right, yeah. So quickly, we want to hang out here for a second because we think this is literally how we show you how game-changing this is. So we have a comparable to Veeam 9.5 here. So the time differences for deployment and recovery are so intense. And Junior, maybe you can kind of take people through this really quickly. This is where the magic and the game-changing functionality really brings, it's really brought to life with the comparable of, you know, someone like Veeam in the marketplace. So Junior, anything you want to really focus on here?
Yeah, and that's definitely, you know, one of the things, again, we wanted to make sure that you have the fastest time to deploy, be able to, within a few clicks, have it up and running and no configuration, right? So that's where this, you know, it takes 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes to deploy. I've done it in 3. It's like number of clicks. I mean, you imagine how many, you know, compared to something like a Veeam, over 100 clicks extra, 100 different decisions that you have to make.
Right.
Same thing on the recovery side. Like, we wanted to simplify, so we'll take care of all the hard part, because we understand on the recoveries, like, there's certain nuances, you know, is this an MBR, GPT, is it, and all of those things, we'll take care of figuring out those heuristics. We'll just make you 4 clicks for you. So that's kind of the idea, is just truly simplify, make sure that you're able to standardize, that you have a full experience without, you know, we'll take care of the hard part and we'll make it very profitable for you.
Yeah, work is done faster, but it's also done more confidently, like you just said, right? So less decisions, right? More confident work. You're able to really take your level 1 guys and really up level them, right? And save the level 3 folks for different things like escalation. And you're empowering your service test technicians to really do work confidently and quickly. All right, so how do we buy it? Junior, how does a person buy it? What's going on with ShadowXafe V2? What do they do? How do they get it? What goes on?
Yeah, so this you're going to get through Disty. So through distribution, there's one SKU that you can select, and that encompasses all of the services. And also from the SKU, if you have monthly commitment levels, then you're going to go get additional discounting. This is highly competitive pricing, and so I think you guys will like it. But again, yeah, through distribution, and yeah, it's easy.
Yeah, we have a price list and calculator also available on Partner Zone, right? And it's there's some great stuff that's commit to a minimum monthly spend, you get a better price, right? But there's no committed spend, you can pay as you go. It is ready and able for the MSP market. And again, one thing we also want to make sure you're aware of is that we actually in our refresh partner program are empowering standardization one more time and choosing StorageCraft to lead with. We've actually added quarterly rebates, right? So the quarterly rebates are in addition to your volume discounts as you traverse over the levels of the partner program by committing to more spend. Not only do you get the volume discount, but you also get quarterly rebates when your spend is over a certain amount. So a lot of money on the table for standardizing on us and taking a chance on this differentiated set of features that we're bringing to the table. Let's sum up: agent versus an agentless, physical and virtual. Virtual boot time has been increased, all the time to deployment and recovery being unparalleled. We also have a new certified engineer T3 support line built in to the new partner success program. So essentially, if at any point, any point through this discussion we haven't answered the questions, we will stay on for a couple of minutes. We want to just be respectful of your time. We want to make sure that if you'd like to, can you guys see the poll? Yeah, okay. If at any point you'd like to see a deep dive demo, ask more questions that we aren't able to get to, see the detailed price list, get assistance on how to buy it, figure out if your distribution partner is carrying it, et cetera, all you have to do is hit yes on this poll, and your dedicated resource will reach out. I'm going to let this hang out for a little bit longer. In the meantime, we, again, are out of time right at the 2 o'clock mark. We promise to get you out of here in an hour. Hang out. We are going to go through some of these questions. We'll stay on for another 10 minutes. If you have time and your question didn't get answered and you really want to know the answer, we'll take some questions on the back end here. In the meantime, let us know if you'd like to reach out and share more information on ShadowXafe. We are so proud and so excited about this release and being really laying the foundation for the first technology partner that you can really say brings everything that we need, that you need and your customers need to the table for data protection in your managed offering. All right, so thank you so much, Junior. If you need to take off, do so. If you'd like to hang out and listen to some of the questions, we're going to take some of those questions now.
Yeah, there was
okay,
a question
here's some questions for you.
Let me
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Virtual boot and be able to do it out of different storage locations. Yeah, that's one of the coolest things, because we have that storage microservice that's in front of that, your storage backend. Your information can be on NFS, SMB, iSCSI, and we're able to virtual boot that. So it can be, we've done virtual boots. We had an SC that did a virtual boot out of a Dropbox, out of the cloud. We did out of AWS via storage gateway. You can virtual boot that. You can virtual boot out of the recovery points that are sitting in our cloud. So the idea, it's instantly turn it on. It's going directly primary. You don't need to vMotion after the fact. And so that's kind of fun to be able to do that. But the technology allows us to do those things now.
Okay, a couple other questions. One system appears to be the CMD portal update. I've been waiting for about 2 years to be released. Does this mean CMD will not get this update? Can I use one system to manage my current SPX load?
So again, when we talked about current SPX load, if you have, we have a lot of partners that have large amounts of VMs, and there's different vendors that they're using, and if that's the case, like, you absolutely can standardize. You can bring all of the the VM protection all into a single place. You can also use all agents if you want. We have some deployments that are deployed in KVM and all agent-based protection. All of those things are options that you can do. Remember that different file formats, it doesn't translate for SPX backups and say, oh, I'm going to start protecting all of those. There is an uninstall and install of the new ShadowXafe agent instead of SPX. It's much smaller, so instead of like 55 megabytes, it's 17. We really took that down to push it to the lowest. We want a very light footprint and very easy to deploy.
Okay, regarding storage, any one storage preferred? How is ShadowXafe managing deduplication for DRFS, REFS, DFS? A lot of acronyms I don't know anything about. You probably do.
So, and yeah, so there's deduplication. So you can put, whether you're putting onto that storage, if you're accessing via NFS, right? We let the backend take care of that. Our OneSafe, it's the same way. It takes care of all the deduplication and inlining compression and all that. We're just accessing, over that microservice.
How would secure the portal for ShadowXafe? I don't know if I understand that question. How would secure the portal for ShadowXafe? Is that a question that makes sense to you?
I mean, security-wise, like I've mentioned a couple of things that we do everything through encrypted channels. Everything, all the microservices when they're talking to each other through that. AES 256-bit encryption for the backups and images. So yeah. There's going to be what you'll notice too is a lot of there's a lot less churn from ShadowXafe than Image Manager, so a lot less time that you don't have to unencrypt, consolidate, read, and then write a new file, then re-encrypt. We're able to manage consolidation without ever having to unencrypt and re-encrypt data. So it's really cool. We're block aligned, and so we're able to do those things without all of the churn the Image Manager has.
Can you limit user access on a per site level?
As far as access into one system, everyone that has, if you're an administrator, you have access to it. There's not the role-based access control yet or a site control yet. That's going to be coming with our SaaS not SaaS, but our public managed offering. So you'll be able to manage that and be able to do those type of controls there. It's already multi-tenant, so we've been developing that, and that's what it'll be.
Okay, let's see if we can get a couple more here. We do want to end it by 2:10. So if again we somehow don't get to your question, don't sweat it, don't fret, we'll get there. Will both cloud and on-prem one system have, yeah, we talked about it, that one's been answered. Okay, sorry. There's a very small window here.
There's one over here that says, is there a way to auto-consolidate an existing image chain to a new base without having to, or automatically rebase a chain X amount of days? One of the cool things that you are able to now roll up the base with ShadowXafe. That was traditionally, you had to start new chains and things like that. Now, whatever retention you have set, at the end of that retention, so if I say keep it for 12 months, it will just roll up that final, you can think of it like rolling up the base with it. It is a more intensive I/O operation, so you probably don't want to do it very often, but there's a way, just removing those, just deleting those recovery points. Underneath, we realize, oh, look, these recovery points are removed, so let's consolidate this up.
Junior, any other questions that you see might be really important to answer? I'm trying to scroll through them and seeing a lot of the same. Just want to make sure we get anything super pertinent here.
No, just we're excited as well. So there's a lot of, there's a different, we're going in a way that we're moving with the technology. With the microservices, we're able to be very nimble. It future-proofs us from support, to supporting a lot of really cool things. Those microservices, like we talked about, we've already put them in practice. We put those services in Docker containers. We've put them, with Kubernetes and in AWS, and so there's a lot of fun things coming along for this, and we'll keep improving and keep doing more and more. So we're excited, and we have a fun roadmap ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I can't stress how when we've shown this on the floor at shows and shown it in action as Junior did, the game-changing ability is going to be unprecedented. So please keep an eye out. Please check with your CAM. There's a ton of resources on Partner Zone. So if you have any trouble getting into Partner Zone, please let your CAM know. And there's not only the calculator, but the price list, but also some great spec sheets, etc. We're very excited that we're finally able to bring this to the MSP world. Junior, I want to thank you so much for taking everyone through it. And thank you guys so much for spending your time with us. And we will be engaging further. Thanks very much, guys.
And yeah, we're always welcome to your feedback.
Thanks all. Have a great day.